Be honest with yourself. Have you ever looked in the mirror and quietly wondered, why does my hair look flatter every year, no matter what I try? You're not imagining it. After 60, fine hair doesn't just change, it loses body, structure, and life. The styles that once worked suddenly fall flat, cling to the scalp, and make the face look more tired than it really is. And here's the scary part. Most women think cutting it shorter will fix everything. But what if the wrong pixie cut is actually making things worse? What if the way your hair is being cut is the reason it looks thinner, not fuller? In today's video, you're going to discover the perfect short layered pixie cut designed specifically for fine hair over 60. A method that doesn't just remove length, but rebuilds volume, shape, and confidence from the crown down. Because this is not just a haircut. This is the difference between looking older and looking effortlessly refreshed. Let's begin with the biggest mistake most women don't even realize they're making. 1. Why fine hair changes after 60 and the biggest mistake that makes pixie cuts look flat and aging. The first thing we need to talk about is something that might surprise you. It's not your hair. It's how your hair is being cut. But before we get to the mistake, we have to understand why fine hair behaves so differently after 60. Because this isn't just about getting older, it's about biology. After menopause, estrogen levels drop significantly. Estrogen is directly responsible for the length of the growth phase of your hair. When it declines, two things happen. First, the growth phase shortens, meaning each individual strand doesn't grow as long as it once did. Second, the diameter of each strand, what hairdressers call the denier, actually shrinks. Think of a strand of thread versus a strand of silk. That's the difference between young fine hair and mature fine hair. But that's not all. Your scalp also produces less sebum, which is the natural oil that keeps hair flexible and elastic. Less oil means drier, more brittle strands that break easily. And breakage? Breakage mimics thinning. So even if you haven't lost a single follicle, your hair looks thinner because the ends are frayed, split, and snapping off. Add in decades of heat styling, chemical processing, or even just the weight of longer hair pulling at the roots, and you have a perfect storm. Fragile, delicate strands that lack both structural integrity and natural lift. This is why women over 60 often describe their hair as uncooperative. It won't hold a curl. It falls flat within an hour. It sticks to the scalp like wet tissue paper. And the more frustrated you get, the more products you pile on. Heavy serums, thick creams, waxes, which only adds weight and makes the problem worse. So here's where the mistake comes in. Have you ever noticed that some pixie cuts look full, soft, and almost fluffy, while others look flat, severe, and aging? Why does that happen? The truth is many stylists, even well-intentioned ones, cut fine hair the same way they cut thick hair. They use straight lines, blunt angles, and heavy uniform lengths. And that's where everything goes wrong. Because fine hair doesn't need weight. It needs movement. It needs air. It needs internal support. When hair is cut bluntly, meaning all the ends meet at the exact same horizontal line, it creates what hairdressers call a solid form. On thick hair, that solid form creates a beautiful, heavy edge. On fine hair, that solid form collapses. There's no internal space between the strands. They all lie on top of each other, glued together by static and dryness. The result? It sticks to the scalp. It exposes every thinning area at the crown and temples. And instead of creating volume, it removes the illusion of volume completely. That's when women start feeling that quiet desperation. You try volumizing shampoos. You try root lifters. You try blow-drying upside-down backcombing, even those awful bump-it inserts. But nothing holds. Within an hour, you're right back to flat, lifeless hair. And slowly, that quiet fear starts to creep in. Is my hair just too thin now? Is this just what I have to accept? No, that is not the truth. The real problem is structure. A proper layered pixie cut doesn't just remove length. It creates invisible support beams inside the hair. It lifts the crown by cutting at specific elevation angles. It softens the edges using point cutting and texturizing techniques. It frames the face not with heavy blocks of hair, but with feathered, forgiving curves that bring back light and youth. But here's the urgency. If the layering is done wrong, if it's too aggressive, too high, or cut with the wrong tension, it can actually make thinning more noticeable. You've seen it before. A pixie that looks patchy, with dark spots where the scalp shows through, or strange holes in the perimeter where the hair just disappears. So the question becomes, are your layers helping you or hurting you? The solution starts with understanding where volume truly comes from. Not from length. Not from products. Not from teasing. Volume comes from precision. From knowing exactly where to remove weight, and exactly where to leave it. From understanding the natural growth patterns of mature hair, and working with them, not against them. And once you see how that precision works, everything changes. Now moving on. Let's talk about the actual step-by-step technique that transforms fine hair completely. 2. How layering transforms volume and face shape plus step-by-step cutting approach for a soft, youthful pixie. This is where the magic really happens. Imagine sitting in the salon chair. But this time, your haircut isn't rushed. Every section has a purpose. Every cut has intention. And every snip of the scissors is working with your hair's natural limitations, not fighting against them. Let me walk you through the exact step-by-step cutting approach that creates a soft, youthful pixie for fine hair over 60. Step 1. The crown, where volume lives or dies. The process begins at the crown. Why the crown? Because this is the anchor point for the entire haircut. If the crown is left too long, the weight of the hair pulls everything downward and the volume collapses. If it's cut too short, it spikes awkwardly, creating gaps where the scalp becomes visible. The balance has to be exact. Here's the technique. The hair is lifted gently, not pulled tight. Tension is the enemy of fine hair. When you pull fine hair taut before cutting, it springs back shorter than intended, often creating unwanted holes. Instead, the stylist lifts each section at a 45-degree angle, using the natural fall of the hair as a guide. Soft, feathered layers are created using a technique called slide cutting. The scissors glide along the strand, removing weight internally while leaving length at the perimeter. This builds height without harsh lines. The result? The crown lifts approximately 1 inch off the scalp, creating an invisible dome of support that makes the entire head of hair look fuller. Step 2. The sides, slimming the face without sacrificing softness. Now here's a critical question. Have you ever felt like your haircut makes your face look wider or heavier? That's often because the sides are cut too blunt. A straight, heavy side panel acts like a dark curtain, widening the face visually. Instead, soft tapering is used. The stylist takes vertical sections from the temple down to the ear. Each section is cut with the scissors held vertically, using a point cutting motion, snipping into the ends rather than cutting straight across. This creates a feathered, wispy edge that hugs the face lightly, never weighing it down. For women over 60, keeping a little length around the ears softens the jawline and draws attention upward to the eyes. Cutting too close to the ear can look severe and aging. The goal is a gentle curve that follows the cheekbone and ends just below the ear lobe, tapering gradually into the nape. Step 3. The back, creating a natural curve that supports everything. The back is where many women lose shape over time. A poorly cut back can look like a mushroom, too bulky at the bottom, or a patchy mess with visible scalp. A well-cut pixie stacks the back subtly. The stylist works in horizontal sections, starting at the nape and moving upward. Each section is cut slightly longer than the one below it, creating what hairdressers call a graduated stack. Not too tight, that looks masculine. Not too bulky, that looks dated. Just enough to create a natural curve that supports the crown. For fine hair, the nape should be tapered very short, almost to the skin, using clippers with a number 3 or number 4 guard. This removes the thin, wispy baby hairs that often look messy and reveals the elegant line of the neck. It also makes the stacked area above appear thicker by contrast. Before the haircut is finished, the stylist should dry the hair completely and check the shape. Fine hair changes dramatically when dry. It shrinks, lifts, and shifts. Many good haircuts look perfect wet, but fall apart dry. The final step is a dry texturizing pass, lifting small sections and snipping into any areas that look heavy or uneven. So ask yourself, when was the last time your haircut actually felt designed for your hair, not just cut? Because once you experience the difference, you'll never go back. And finally, Let's talk about how to style and maintain this look so it never falls flat again. 3. The importance of crown lift and texture placement plus styling techniques that keep the haircut looking fresh daily. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Even the perfect haircut can fail if it's not styled correctly. But don't worry. This is where things become simple. Because fine hair doesn't need complicated routines. It needs smart ones. And once you understand a few core principles, you'll spend less than 5 minutes each morning and still walk out the door with hair that looks professionally styled. Let's start with the most important concept. Crown lift is everything. Remember how we built that internal support during the cut? Now you have to maintain it. The crown is the highest point on your head. When it has volume, it creates something called visual weight distribution, meaning the eye is drawn upward, away from jowls or neck concerns, and toward your eyes and cheekbones. When the crown falls flat, the visual weight drops to the lower half of your face, which almost always looks more tired and heavy. So how do you protect the crown lift? Step 1: product choice. Lightweight or nothing. Heavy creams, butters, oils, or waxes. They weigh the hair down instantly. Fine hair cannot support them. Instead, reach for a volumizing mousse or a lightweight root spray. Look for products labeled weightless, amplifying, or thickening. Apply only to the roots, from the crown forward. Do not put product on the ends unless they are extremely dry. A pea-sized amount of mousse is plenty for the entire crown area. Step 2: blow drying. Technique matters more than tools. Blow drying is where most women go wrong. They point the dryer downward, which flattens the cuticle and presses the hair against the scalp. Wrong direction. Here's the correct method. Flip your head upside down if your neck allows it. If not, lean forward from the waist. Point the dryer nozzle upward, toward the ceiling, and direct the air at the roots. Use a round brush, small diameter about 1 inch, to lift each section as you dry. Focus on the crown first. Do not move to the sides until the crown is completely dry and cool. Why cool? Because heat memory sets the shape. If you touch the crown while it's still warm, you'll collapse the volume. Once the crown is dry and lifted, move to the sides. Dry them forward, toward your face, to create that soft face-framing curve. The back dries last, with the dryer pointed downward to keep the nape smooth and tapered. Step 3: shaping. Use your fingers, not a brush. After drying, put the brush down. A brush will create stiff, unnatural lines that look done in the worst way. Instead, use your fingers. Run them through the sides gently, lifting and separating. For fine hair, a slightly tousled, piecewise texture actually looks younger and fuller than a smooth, helmet-like finish. The tiny gaps between strands catch light and create the illusion of density. If you have cowlicks or stubborn flat spots, use a pinch technique. Grab a small section of hair at the root, pinch it between your thumb and forefinger, and pull upward while hitting it with a 1-second burst of cool air from the dryer. This is called root popping, and it works beautifully on mature fine hair. Step 4: finishing. Less is more. Do not use hairspray unless absolutely necessary. Most hairsprays contain alcohol and polymers that dry out fine hair and create a stiff, crunchy texture. If you need hold, choose a flexible, low-hold spray and hold the can at least 12 inches away. One light mist, then shake your head gently to break up any stiffness. For shine, avoid serums entirely. Instead, use a single drop of argan oil warmed between your palms and smoothed over the ends only. Absolutely nowhere near the roots. Daily maintenance between washes. Fine hair gets oily quickly, but overwashing strips natural moisture and increases breakage. Aim to wash every other day. On non-wash days, refresh the crown lift with a dry volumizing powder, not dry shampoo, which can build up. Sprinkle a tiny amount at the roots, massage with fingertips, and blow dry on cool for 10 seconds. Also, sleep on a silk or satin pillowcase. Cotton creates friction that flattens hair and causes breakage. A silk pillowcase reduces friction by over 40%, meaning your style lasts 2 to 3 times longer. The most important mindset shift. And here's something important. Stop chasing perfection. A slightly tousled pixie actually looks younger, softer, more natural than a rigid, overstyled helmet. Do you want hair that looks done? Or hair that looks effortlessly beautiful? Because there's a difference. And once you embrace that softness, You start to see yourself differently. More confident. More radiant. More like you again. A great pixie cut is not about cutting your hair short. It's about lifting everything that time has slowly brought down. The right layers, the right shape, the right technique. They don't just change your hair. They change how you feel when you look in the mirror. And that matters. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path. Because here, we don't chase trends. We rediscover timeless beauty.